And I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Scott Spears Now. Today we tackle a current event that happened today, Friday, September 20th, 2013. The Congress voted not to defund Obamacare, which is now going to be sent to the Senate and returned to the Congress, and if they can't come to a resolution in 10 days, the government may shut down. Coming on the program tonight to discuss this, a legend in the conservative world. She is the lady who started the anti-feminist movement and by her own claim defeated the Equal Rights Amendment. She is author, speaker, activist, Phyllis Schafly. Let's get right to Phyllis, I want to get right to a current event. I know you stay very active. Congress has voted to defund Obamacare, possibly putting a halt to government. We don't know yet. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's the best news we've heard out of Congress in a long time. That's what the American people want. The majority of the American people want to repeal Obamacare. And I hope we can get rid of it because it's bad for health care and certainly bad for our pocketbook.
I know there's so much to Obamacare. If you could give people the #1 reason it's bad, specific item about it, what would it be?
Well, it takes the control of your health care out of your own hands and puts it in some bureaucrats who will ultimately decide what care your doctor is permitted to give you, and ultimately whether you live or die.
Now, when you say when you live or die, explain that exactly.
Well, that means when you're in the elderly class of our society, health care becomes very expensive, and doctors would have to get approval for anything that they do. Any tests that they give, any surgery or other procedures, they would have to get approval from some bureaucrat.
Now, Phyllis, I think people who are proponents of Obamacare might say that that happens now anyway with Medicare and Medicaid, which most seniors are on, which is a government program.
Well, I suppose some of it does happen, but I don't see that giving the federal government control of our health care can improve anything. And anybody who thinks that when the government runs it, it's going to cost less, must be dreaming.
You're right. I think cost less is probably not going to happen. What do you feel should happen with health care? Because most people feel that right now it is broken. Maybe Obamacare is not the best answer. What can we do to get more people insured in better health care?
I don't have the solution to that problem. I think it is a big problem, but I think if we leave it to the private enterprise, leave it to people to make their own plans, buy their own insurance, make their own decisions, I think we would surely be better off. When I grew up, we didn't have any of these insurance policies, and we got along pretty well.
Now, I would say, Phyllis, that again, would just be what the opposition would say, just a counterpoint here, that they would say that it has been left with the private sector to this point, and we have a lot of people uninsured and a lot of people declaring bankruptcy because of hospital bills, and people are living longer. It's a problem.
Well, you do understand that when the government puts money in, that makes prices go up. You've got a good example of that in the college loans. College tuition has gone up principally because there's government money in there extending loans and credit to college students to go and take courses, even even if they're not college courses. They may even be remedial courses to learn something they should have learned in high school. But nevertheless, if the money is there, the prices will go up.
I certainly think that a lot of people agree that prices might go up, but I think the problem is, again, people would say, but we have left this with the private sector. They've had every opportunity to fix the health care problem, and it hasn't been fixed, and it's in the worst shape it's ever been.
Well, that doesn't mean the government can do it better.
You're right.
And the whole idea that government is the solution, that government will be less expensive, more efficient, do a better job, is just nuts.
Do you think, Phyllis, that if somebody who opposed Obamacare, one of these congressmen who opposes it, said, it's bad, this is why, this is how we need to fix it, that maybe this would be a better pill to swallow? I think what people keep saying is, Obamacare's not perfect, but what's the alternative?
Well, you're right that nobody has come up with a package alternative, and maybe that's what people are looking for. But if you leave it to the people to work out, I think it's going to be better. Now, you look at, I made a little study recently of Medicare Part D. D as in dog. That is the prescription part of Medicare. And for some reason that is just extraordinary, it has come in costing less money every year. And I think that is because there is a private enterprise competition element to it that is not true in any of the other government programs. So they ought to inspect and find out why Medicare Part D is costing less every year and less than it's anticipated to cost.
It's very interesting, and as I said, hopefully it doesn't lead to a government shutdown. But I guess the question is, Phyllis, do you believe these Republicans voting against it should hold on to this idea even if it means a government shutdown?
Well, of course, Obama will blame the Republicans for it, no question. I think he'd really like that. And the government shutdown is not the Republicans' fault. It is spending too much money that is the government's fault. In some way, Obama has got to be stopped from spending money that we borrow from China, which is what he's doing.
It's my understanding, and maybe I'm wrong, and correct me if I am, but that the problem here is that we've already passed Obamacare. But now they just want to stop the funding of it, which is kind of a backdoor way to stop it altogether. You know, you can pass Social Security, but if you don't vote to fund it, you can't do it. So it's kind of them the Republicans trying to again defeat this, even though it's already been passed.
Well, that's right, and of course the policy and the practice of our government is first to authorize something, and then later you have a bill for the appropriations, and that's the way it is. And now it's first passed, they are looking for the money to fulfill the expectations, and it's just very difficult to find the money because we're spending more than we're taking in.
You know, Phyllis, you've been around Washington and politicians and people a long time. Why, right now, even when we couldn't get along before on everything, why is it so angry now?
Well, I think there's a lot of what the government's doing that's worth getting angry about. We don't like what they're doing. We don't like it when Obama said he wanted to fundamentally transform America. We don't like it when he said he wanted to redistribute the wealth in this country, take money away from people who have it and give it to people who don't have it. America doesn't want to believe that half our people should be dependent on the government. And then a lot of people feel that our Republican leaders have not been enough of a fighter in order to combat what's going on today. But politics is a very difficult game. It is a battle. Anybody who thinks it's just a tea party just doesn't understand it. Politics requires people to make the arguments on both sides and fight very hard. And sometimes people don't like that kind of a battle.
Do we ever compromise?
Yes, of course. There are compromises every day. Big things and small things. And some are good and some are bad.
Is there a compromise on this? Because we're heading for a government shutdown and people are very passionate on both sides.
Well, yes, I'm sure there are many ways to compromise it. But I think the bottom line with a lot of Republicans is we do not want to increase our indebtedness to China. We don't want to continue to spend money we don't have. And if they find things that are essential, they want to take it away from something else so that we're not going continually into debt. The amount of debt that Obama has increased just in his few years in the White House is shocking. It's enormous.
It's interesting, and I think people will be talking about it for a long time.
Phyllis
Schafly certainly has her own take on something, very conservative. We got into it a little bit. What's the answer if Obamacare is not the answer? We don't know. Maybe we'll find out in the future. We got to get out here. What a special episode this has been. I sure hope the government doesn't shut down. But until next time, this is Scott Spears heading for the dugout.